Hey guys, this is Bruce Marshall from Simpler Trading with the nightly video update for Friday, August the 3rd. And I want to start by looking at the S&P, of course. And I've got the S&P, a one-day chart on the S&P. If you did not see it today, we had a pretty fantastic day, just straight up all day long. We came out of the gate this morning and kind of, slightly up. This chart, it looks like, I guess it may look maybe pretty extreme. The moves are actually pretty calm today. So we're up two or three, down two or three, just kind of back and forth. But it's a slow grind higher all day, all day, all day. And we actually, it's kind of funny. I was looking at 2840 as the upper end of my range expectation on the day, and I really did not think we'd get there. We just nailed it right at 2840 and just stopped. We got here a little bit before the close, pulled back a little bit, and I was thinking here. This was about 2:30, and I said this is either going to fail and roll back down to, to one of these lower levels, or we're going to keep going back up, and we certainly came back up here. Now this is in follow through from yesterday. Let's slide this back over here. We had a crazy move higher yesterday. If I can get my chart to work, okay, there's a little better perspective on it right there. So again, if you weren't watching, we gapped down here, trade war fears and so forth. I think that was the reason or one of the earnings. I can't keep it all straight. It's kind of all running together the last couple of weeks, but 27.96. So for all purposes, we're at 2800, and we ended up at 2840. So that's a 40-point move. And this is 2 days. This was yesterday, and this is today. That's 40 points up in 2 days. That's a pretty good move. If you look back over the last 5 days, this is a 5-day chart. Guess where we were? 2843. So that was last Friday here. So 1 week later, we're sitting at the exact same spot. So if you had trades on here and you went out of town to the beach and you weren't looking and you came back, you would think, nothing happened while I was gone. Well, it really did. Pretty violent moves down here, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So where does that put us? So let's back out here to a longer term time frame. You guys know I love talking about the S&P and where we might go. And I'm looking at, this is the 2850 level, and this is 2800 that we had such a hard time getting through. You guys remember from my other videos, we just seem to not be able to get through that, and we hit it here, kind of failed, or came up to it, approached it, failed, and just kind of bumped up it, and we finally got through it, and that sets 2850 as the next hurdle to get over, and 2800 basically as support level down there below. So we're 10 points away from touching that level again, the 2850 level. And as you can see here, it's probably a little bit clearer if I zoom in. We're right there. So it would make sense that we come up and touch this, but do we slice through this and keep going, or do we hit it, bounce off, and maybe come back down here somewhere, and then work our way back up again, before we finally get through it? And that's the million-dollar question. I don't know. One thing I do know is that, let me pull this over here. I'm watching the markets here. If you notice the correlation, I've got the three indexes up here. This is the S&P, this is the NASDAQ, and this is the Russell 2000. So, and this is today, or yesterday and today. So we're straight up 40 points here. We're chopping in the NASDAQ, kind of, we're up a little bit, nothing too dramatic. But look at the Russell, down, 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 down. Pretty interesting. Look at the Russell, down. We were down, what, 16, I think 16 points at one time today. The correlations seem to be breaking down a little bit. Now, this is a little too soon to be saying, oh, there's a big problem, red flags, that kind of thing. But it's something to definitely, keep in mind. And we're just pulling back to, some of these lower levels, but typically, we see the indexes kind of track together. I said in last week's video, I said, I'm looking, you guys remember from last week's video, I said, when I'm looking at these indexes, I said, and this was here I think it was last Friday. Anyway, I said of the 3 indexes, I would sell the NASDAQ, and it went down, so I was right. And I said my second one, I'm kind of neutral on the S&P, and it went up. And I said I would buy the Russell, and of course, from here, it's come down a little bit. But all that being said, where do we stand, and why? Why is this? Well, of course, we know that we had Apple earnings and Amazon, all that kind of stuff. I just think the NASDAQ here is, let's look at a longer term time frame here. Right here is when, maybe was it last week or week before? I can't remember. Anyway, I was saying it was getting a little frothy here, and it may pull back, and it did. I still like the NASDAQ, but the NASDAQ, you got to realize NASDAQ's super heavy tech driven. We're through all the major, the mega cap techs. We got some, the cybersecurity and some of the other ones still to come over the next several weeks. But for the most part, those are out and done. So I'm less willing, and that's what I was saying in the video. It was either last week or week before. Is I'm less interested in buying the NASDAQ up here. I'd rather buy the S&P or preferably the Russell, and I still kind of feel that way. I think the Russell, if we're just talking about the indexes, the Russell is the best place to really look at an entry point. And I would actually look at an entry point here, and I've got a mark here, an alert set on my computer to let me know if we come back down that 1650 level, and I will be a buyer. I don't even have an alert on the NASDAQ, and I'm not crazy about trying to buy the S&P unless we can get through handily through this 2850 and go higher. And as you can see, 2872, that's the all-time high. If we can get up to there, perhaps that opens the doors to some higher things up above us. So we have a lot on the plate for next week or two as we kind of wind up earnings season. We're finished. We had payroll numbers today, a little disappointing, and we had a Fed meeting. Fed's kind of out of the way, so now we're kind of in limbo land as far as which way we go from here. But I will say this again: be nimble, be careful. I would rather be a buyer on some retracement of all the indexes, especially the NASDAQ at this point. It just seems like it's getting a little, yes, it can have more upside, but I think it's getting a little extended, and we're coming out of earnings season. So I'll leave it at that. But anyway, I hope this is helpful. I just wanted to kind of cover the indexes and where we are. Remember, we've got earnings. We still got a couple of weeks of earnings to go, so anything can happen. But I expect some volatility, just like we've had, in the last 5-10 days. I think we're going to see more next week. So be ready for it. So again, hope this helps, makes sense, and everybody have good trading. And I will see you guys at the next update. Thanks.